I'm a robot vacuum cleaner, so yeah, I got 1 gig. I suck up dirt, so pardon my inferiority complex about Geico, who does so much more. Like, not only could they save their customers money on car insurance, but they got fast and friendly claim service too, and an award-winning mobile app. Plus access to licensed agents 24/7. Who am I kidding? I can't even do corners. Uh-oh, choking hazard.
Popcorn kernels.
Geico. Expect great savings and a whole lot more.
Don Le Batard. He is an idea guy, though. Greg Cody he's an idea man, and other people need to execute his ideas. I understand that. I'm the same way.
Yeah.
I just throw things out there, and hopefully someone else will execute whatever it is I throw out there.
Stugotz. Do Stugotz and Cody say they're idea men to camouflage their laziness? Because I'm not claiming to be an idea guy. I'm not claiming to be a facilitator. I am claiming to be someone who wants other people to do things.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
All right, this is our favorite, Ron McGill of Zoo Miami. You guys love him. We love him. 786-456-4837 is the telephone number if you want to talk to Ron McGill of Zoo Miami. This is his last appearance for a couple of weeks because he's headed out to some exotic locale where things can possibly eat him, and he might never return because these are some of the places that he ends up in that are very dangerous. But let's get to some calls here at your leisure. 786-456-4837. Mike, you're on ESPN Radio with Ron McGill. Go ahead.
Hey, Ron. How susceptible are animals to diseases from raw meats like humans are?
From raw meat, well, it depends what kind of animal. I mean, generally speaking, most animals, especially carnivores that are natural predators, have natural resistances to those types of things. Things like vultures, of course, they have different types of resistances. They can eat rancid, dying stuff and parasitic. So it depends on the animal. If it's an animal like a domestic dog that's been raised on commercial dog food diet, and all of a sudden you give it raw meat, it could get sick. There's certainly parasites that can be transmitted through raw meat or undercooked meat. So, generally speaking, most animals that are carnivores in the wild have natural resistances to those things, just like we as people do. You know, if you go to different places in the world where somebody, let's say, is drinking the water and they're not getting sick, and then you drink the water and you get really sick, you wonder why they don't get sick. Well, because they were raised that way. They built up antibodies as youngsters, and they're able to live in that environment. So it depends on the survival, depends on the animal.
Ron, anybody with a dog and a cat in the house knows that jealousy can be involved, and I'm wondering, in the community of a zoo, what examples of jealousy have you seen among animals?
Oh, we see it a lot. Certainly in the primates. I mean, I guess you're associating that closely with humans, but we see it with primates. Things like gorillas and chimps, they certainly have favorite people, and they see other people around those favorite people, they get upset. We see it with people who have animals like parrots for pets. Parrots are incredibly jealous and possessive animals. Things like macaws. I usually recommend against getting those animals as pets because what they do is they bond with one person, and then anybody comes near them, they get really jealous. They'll attack you because they'll fight you for the attention of that person. So depending on the type of animal you're caring for, you certainly see jealousy that way. You see it in primates or any other animal. Lions, for instance. A male lion, let's say he has a coalition and he has a brother, and they both accept the pride together. Well, you know what? They're best of friends. They're loving brothers until the females come into heat, and then they'll be really jealous, and they'll fight the heck out of each other to be the one to be with that female. So generally speaking, females make males stupid at certain times in their lives.
Jake, you're on with Ron McGill of Zoo Miami. Go ahead.
Hey, Ron. I have a question living up here in Connecticut. What do snakes and frogs do in the winter, especially when it's bitterly cold like it is now? Thanks.
That's a great question. Generally speaking, a lot of the snakes, some snakes that you don't find in the north, like the tropical snakes, we have the problem with pythons down here in South Florida. You will never have problems with pythons up in New York or the New England area up north because the first freeze will kill them. But certain snakes, like garter snakes and ribbon snakes, they're actually found up as high up as Manitoba, Canada. And what happens is when the winter season starts to come in, they go underground and they literally kind of hibernate. They get into these huge balls of massive snakes and they shut down. They're able to shut their bodies down through the winter season. And then as soon as it starts to heat up, the photo period changes, the sun comes out, they'll actually start to wake up slowly. Same thing with amphibians. They can shut themselves down. Being cold-blooded animals, they literally turn their bodies off. They can make their heartbeat go to, 1 beat an hour and survive. And that's what they do in the cold weather. But there's only certain species that have adapted to that. A lot of the tropical species will never be found that far north simply because they can't adapt to that cold.
Sean, you're on with Ron McGill of Zoo Miami. Go ahead, Sean.
My question is actually for Dan. I was wondering what you and John Skipper talked about over beers, and wasn't he
Let's go to the next caller, 786-456-4837. What is the next caller, Mike?
Santo.
Santo, you're on ESPN Radio. Go ahead.
Ron, I just graduated college. I have a ton of student loan debt. Nonetheless, I'm looking to take an incredible, breathtaking trip to an exotic locale somewhere in the world to see the most amazing animals. Wanted to get your recommendation, what time of the year, and where I should go.
Southern Africa, anytime from June through September. It's just unbelievable. You can go to East Africa, too. I'm not crazy about East Africa as much anymore because it's become a bit too commercialized. But if you go down, especially to Botswana, it will change your life. It is the most life-changing trip I've ever taken, and I've been around the world. As a matter of fact, like Dan says, I leave in a week. I'm going down to Antarctica for a couple of weeks. But there's nothing like Southern Africa, especially Botswana.
Dylan, you're on with Ron McGill of Zoom Miami. Go ahead.
Hi, Ron. Happy New Year. I was watching Planet Earth 2 for the first time yesterday, and they featured a bird of paradise that had a really incredible way of attracting a mate. So I was wondering what's the best mating ritual either that you've seen or that you know of. Thanks.
Well, I think it probably goes to another bird. It's called the bowerbird, and this bird actually goes and finds things like jewelry, but it's not really jewelry. But to the female, it's jewelry. Like he'll find like blue bottle caps or pieces of tinfoil, and he brings them and he puts them in the bower. He makes like a treasure chest, and that's what he uses to attract the female. It's like he said, "Look what I have! All these diamonds for you here," and he literally collects whatever brightly colored, neat thing that's not usually found in the environment to attract the female. So the bowerbird, to me, has one of the best courtship rituals as far as attracting females.
Ron, one of the most amazing sights in nature to me is when you see a flock of birds all flying in unison, taking a sharp left turn at exactly the same time. What's the phenomenon that enables a flock of birds to do that?
You know, I wish I knew the exact answer to that, Greg, but bottom line is they are basically feeding off of each other's movement. And their instincts are so quick because of the need for survival to evade predators or whatever, that as they go in the flock, it's just like watching a school of fish. It's the same thing. If you watch a school of fish in the water, they all switch at the exact same time. It's like this wave. There's a bird called the quelea. It's the most numerous bird in the world. And you watch these flocks of quelea, they make incredible clouds in the sky. And it's just they follow each other's wing movement. So it's so split second that it looks like it's happening simultaneously. It's the incredible, quick muscle movements of these animals that enable them to look like that.
Kobe, you're on with Ron McGill of Zoom Miami. Go ahead.
Greetings, Ron. I thank you for your time. Are humans the only species that wears clothing? And if so, is that due to our pretentious nature, or is there a reason for it? Thank you.
Well, it's a good question. Now, I've seen primates, take big leaves and wrap themselves up in the rain. They use them as raincoats and things like that. But as far as making something permanent that they wear in the same way that humans wear, I cannot really think of anything. There are some fish that create bubble nets around themselves, some amphibians that do the same thing, but it's not really using clothing to protect against the environment or anything. So I really can't think of anything. I don't think it's really our pretentious attitude. It's our adaptability. It's our intelligence that enables us to live in some place like Chicago in the winter, whereas normally we wouldn't be able to do so. So our intelligence enables us to adapt and build basically what is a tool for the environment, which is clothing.
So the way that we end this segment every week is we go to a video, and Ron McGill does play-by-play. Okay. If you're watching on television, it's usually a tremendous video. If you're not, and you're just listening on the radio, this is still a fun experience. So before you leave for a couple of weeks to go to Antarctica, let's watch a video with Ron McGill. He will give you the play-by-play.
Okay, turning it on. Oh, my. It looks like we got two pandas kind of trying to make other pandas here at the base of a tree. This is like almost animal porn here. Oh, jeez! A panda just falls out of the tree and breaks it up. It's like your parents walking in on you when you're in the middle of something that they shouldn't be seeing. Holy crap, that was hilarious. Did you see that?
Yes.
Oh, but look, now it's like a threesome. Now it's a foursome. Oh, there's four. That was wonderful. But, Jesus, what a interruptus that was.
Wow, all right, so freaking New Year. Panda sex. Happy New Year. Enjoy Antarctica. Good to see you, Ron. Panda sex. Now, panda sex so vigorous that a panda fell out of a tree from the vibrations of the sensuality.
Dan Le Batard.
Which are we making less of today? Nellie's or Bert's?
Stugatz.
Although Nellie
Furtado,
she's with a Y. My Nellie, my Nana was Nellie, which is the way to go if you're a Nellie. See, IEs look down on Ys. throughout the name kingdom.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugats on ESPN Radio.
So, does it dilute it at all for you that Stugat says he's fantastic after just botching his name and seeming like he was reading the name, seeing it for the first time?
I was.
Is it Sony or Sonny?
I think it's Sony. Sony, I'm confident on Sony. I am not confident.
Why would you be confident about anything here?
I mean, Sony. I mean, Sony. That's how you spell. Who doesn't spell Sony that way?
All right, so
you don't think so?
I don't know.
You think it's Sonny?
Really, you're going to mock me after making Michelle Michael?
That seems weird. I would do that.
All right, so let's go ahead and do Stugatz's weekend observations.
It is time for Stugats to share his game notes.
It is good though.
No one in the media will tell you what happened better than my boy Stu.
Dan John Gruden is back. And you know what that means? That means the Raiders are for real. James Harrison, 4 sacks, AFC Championship game, collision course. James Harrison, Super Bowl MVP, collision course. James Harrison, going into the Hall of Fame as a New England Patriot, collision course. James Harrison, finding an easier path to the Super Bowl. James, the KD is strong in you. James, just know that this Super Bowl won't count in my personal record book.
Oh, wow.
Speaking of personal record books, congratulations to UCF for winning the 2017 College Football National Championship in Dan's personal record book. By the way, anyone else notice Dan trying to steal the whole personal record book thing from me?
That's right.
Here's why mine is better. Whoever wins Monday night won't have a national championship in my personal record book unless they play and beat UCF. After beating Auburn in the Peach Bowl, Scott Frost said, it's about the players. It's always about the players. So what is Scott doing to those players? Leaving them. Scott, you went undefeated with those players. They worked really hard for you. And now you're leaving them for a better job and more money. I'm pretty certain it's all about you. Jeff Fisher, trying to take credit for the Rams' success. Jeff, the Stugats is strong in you. Josh Rosen said he prefers New York over Cleveland. Josh, you know what I prefer? That you don't tell me what you prefer. Wow. There is no, who cares where Josh Rosen wants it? Well, you're not good at UCLA. Who cares? You go to Cleveland, you play there. You go to New York, you play there. I'm tired of all these diva quarterbacks coming out of college.
He's going to be a very good pro.
Who said, really? Based on what? He had an awful season. Overrated. And so is Darnold, by the way. That guy is a disaster. And this Rosen guy. Seriously. And Allen. All three. You know what? All three guys, Dan.
All right, you're done with all of them.
I'm done with all of them. And I don't want to hear where they want to play and don't want to play. They haven't earned the rights.
Okay.
I don't care. There's nothing worse than parking really far from your destination. And while walking really far to your destination, realizing there were 12 spots available that were a lot closer to your destination.
Yeah, that one hurt.
College football. Welcome back. College basketball. Can't wait for you to start. Andrew Luck said his shoulder is stronger. I'd hope so. It feels like he's been rehabbing the thing for 5 years. Dirk Cutter survives. Ben McAdoo doesn't. I really believe Ben McAdoo got fired for getting a bad haircut. I'm telling you, the Saints are the team to beat. And if they are not, then watch out for the Panthers. Wait, does Rob Manfred have to apologize for saying something that wasn't true to a national audience on our show? Because I don't want to live in a world where we have to apologize for not being forthright. Otherwise, I'd spend all day apologizing. Can you imagine the feelings and things that will spill out of Russell Westbrook's mouth if the Thunder beat the Warriors in the Western Conference Finals? And yes, I left the Rockets out of the Western Conference Finals. Why? Chris Paul. Nothing, and I mean nothing, will make you feel older than going to a Billy Joel concert on New Year's Eve. Wait, there is. Going to see a Billy Joel concert on New Year's Eve, looking up at the Jumbotron and seeing an old white drunk man dancing with his drink spilling over onto his hand.
Yeah.
And that man being Greg Cody.
I believe it.
You know you were on that Jumbotron, right? And you know the drink spilled all over your hand, right?
I had no idea.
Of course it did.
Adam Gase has cocaine eyes. What happened there? It's an observation.
It's an observation. Oh, okay, that makes it okay.
That's what these are called.
Okay, it's an observation.
I see things I observe and then I write about
it. It's an observation. All right, wow.
Dan, clearly...
Is Billy hiding under the desk?
I think so.
Yeah, okay.
Clearly the move to Nathan Peterman catapulted the Bills into the postseason. Don't be surprised if the Falcons win it all. And be very surprised if the Titans do. Just for 1 second, I'd like to see what the world would be like if Baker Mayfield was black. You know what the S in Shaquem Griffin stands for? Sundays.
Yes.
Rockets.
Yeah. Yes.
Warriors. Western Conference Finals. Collision Course. And that, Dan, is called covering all your bases.
It really is.
Thank you. I am great at it. Dick Enberg, number 3 on my all-time list of big game voices. Rest in peace. I pride myself in seeing things before they happen. Jim Harbaugh, Colts, Collision Course. Is Kawhi Leonard no longer good? Does Nick Saban have hair plugs? Because my Google image search were inconclusive. He definitely needs a colorist, though. Or he definitely sees a colorist, though. That's not up for debate. Steph Curry. It's difficult.
Let's do Nick Saban over again.
Does Nick Saban have hair plugs?
The reading was very poor on that. It seemed like you might be reading it for the first time.
That's because I was. Does Nick Saban have hair plugs? Because my Google image searches were inconclusive. He definitely sees a colorist, though. That's not up for debates. Steph Curry. It's difficult not to like you. Kevin Durant. You don't need to worry about that department. Matt Patricia's pencil. Detroit. Collision Course. Well, got my first look of both Georgia and Oklahoma yesterday, and man, those two teams are good. Oklahoma, Georgia, one for the ages. Oklahoma, Georgia, track meet. Except for the NCAA schools and coaches exploiting teenage boys to make millions, Oklahoma, Georgia was everything that is great about sports. Can you imagine the amount of sex being had at the University of Georgia by just Jake Fromm? Oklahoma, different coach, same results. I would watch Larry Fedora eat snacks and talk football all day. It took half a decade, but LeBron was right about Shabazz Napier. Mark Davis trying to shift attention away from his awful hair by somehow bringing on a co-owner who has worse hair than him.
No!
And John Gruden.
No! No!
They're observations.
No!
They're observations. I mean, I look at John Gruden, I see that hair, I don't think it's very good.
Mark Davis has scarecrow hair. Radioactive scarecrow hair.
Apparently, all you have to do to become an NFL owner is go 57-55 in your final 7 seasons as head coach and win a Super Bowl with Tony Dungy's players. By the way, if anyone at this network is interested, I'm available every Monday night from 8 p.m. till 1 a.m. for the remainder of time.
Right.
Try to read the tea leaves on this one, Dan. Sean McDonough takes over the Monday night booth, and all of a sudden, John Gruden wants to coach again. Who's got 2 thumbs, an expiring contract, months removed from Gruden's monster talent contract, coming off the books? This guy. Heard Art Briles had a hell of a New Year's. Dan!
Wait, what?
What happened? He had a hell of a New Year's. I'm just saying, Gruden, that's off the books, and my contract's coming up. This guy. Dan, those are the weekend observations.
Dan Le Batard.
You want me to get real?
Stugats.
I'll get real.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugats on ESPN Radio.
We will get to Greg Cody's Back in My Day in a second. Guillermo, put it on the poll, please. Given how long he's been rehabbing, are you expecting Andrew Luck to return with the throwing arm of an Olympic bodybuilder? The throwing right arm of an Olympic bodybuilder.
I mean,
he's going to come back, right? It's been an unusually long rehab.
He did the Europe thing.
Yeah. The Europe thing.
Yeah.
The Europe thing. Go get things in Europe, slather them on your body, and then come back with an Olympic wrestling arm.
I always wondered why people, journalists, because I am not one of them, how come they don't take that story more seriously? Like, someone might want to look into why Kobe Bryant, Peyton Manning, Andrew Luck, they all go to Europe and they come back and they're healthy.
Anywho, Chris Sims with us. He is ranking the quarterbacks for us, top 71 in the league right now. 71 is Cody Kessler, 70 is Blake Bortles. This all started with Blake Bortles. And so Chris Sims is joining us now. We're getting to number 55. So 59 is Paxton Lynch, 58 is Matt Castle, 57 is Ryan Mallett, 56 is Deshaun Kaiser. What a group of losers those Browns are.
It's Deshaun. That's a fun.
And the number 5, I do all fine there. Number 55 for Chris Sims, best quarterback in the NFL is?
Brock Osweiler, Denver Broncos.
Oh, come on. Come on.
What do you mean?
This is all fun and games until Brock Osweiler is right ahead of Deshaun Kaiser.
That's where he blasphemes. All right, Chris, thank you, sir. We're looking forward to the new year. New Year's feels a lot like the last year. We have only 54 more days of this, so thank you for your contribution.
Did you enjoy your break?
I can't wait. Yeah, I had a long weekend. That's all I got, but thank you. Yes, thank you, Stugats, for caring about me. I appreciate that.
You got it, buddy.
All right.
All right, be good, guys.
Totally insincere. Time now for Greg Cody's Back in My Day.
And now, it is time to take a trip down memory lane. Here's your guide, Greg Cody, with Back in My Day.
Apple wristwatches. You know, just because the technology exists, just because we can, it doesn't always mean we should. The thought occurred the other night as we're out to dinner with 2 other couples, and one of our party is wearing an Apple wristwatch. The thing keeps softly buzzing with alerts, texts, incoming calls, news bulletins, a constant electronic murmuring throughout the meal. And this annoying gadget's wearer, she repeatedly is distracted, staring at or talking into her wrist like a mad woman as the rest of us stare incredulously. The Apple wristwatch crowd is oblivious to the inherent rudeness. It's fun to watch them watch their watch. They walk around transfixed, repeatedly staring at their watch as if they're running late or have someplace else to be. It's like watching a zombie adolescent out with the family in a restaurant but eschewing any pretense of friendly palaver by wearing earbuds and staring entranced at his smartphone playing video games. You know, we used to make fun of futuristic gadgets like the Apple wristwatch. Remember Maxwell's smart shoe phone? Or how Mr. Spacely talked George Jetson on a Visiphone in 1962, years before the video phone became debuting at the World's Fair. Now everything we laughed about is becoming reality, and to our great detriment. Folks, take off that Apple wristwatch and never wear it again, please. And certainly not in public. You want something on your wrist? Strap on Dad's Timex. The one with 12 numbers and 2 hands and that silver stretch band that pinched. I'm Greg Cody, and that's how it was back in my day.
Yes.
Dan Le Batard.
That guy's an idiot. He's not smart at life. He's not smart at books. He's not smart at people. He's not smart at interesting radio. He's not smart.
But that person has listened to the show every day for the last 6 years.
Should stop now.
Stugats.
I wonder, though, if it's on us.
Not on us. We're great. Awesome.
Best hour ever.
Yes! It's been our best hour in 6 years.
Yes.
Double middle fingers to you, idiot moron Jocko.
That hour Howard just won a Marconi. What do you think of that? I don't even know what a Marconi is.
Really?
You ruined it.
We had a flow going.
We had it going. That guy's
Pasta, right?
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugats on ESPN Radio.
I got too many crusades going on. I need a planner. My crusades get sabotaged by I just need like an app that plans my crusades because we're way behind. We haven't been able to celebrate the 0-16 season of the Browns. That parade that we were funding last year when we were trying to create a parade in Cleveland for the 0-16 season.
So you've officially put too much on Mike's plate?
Yeah, on the
so now you need an app for
on
it?
the crusade plate. There's too much on the crusade plate. He's sitting here planning a trip to Orlando, multiple parades, Marlins parades. We're still trying to smoke out the Marlins owner, Bruce Sherman. We don't know if we're going to send a hip-hop hot dog to his house or not. Like, there are too many crusades going on, and we're going to...
forgot about the hip-hop hot dog.
Yeah,
so many things fall through the cracks.
Yeah.
We got to smoke out at some point this week. We got to try and smoke out the owner of the Marlins. We might be doing that from Central Florida, where we are having a parade for the real national champions, the UCF Knights.
You do have a lot going on.
I know
man.
it's way too much.
Yeah.
And there might be a mega cast.
Oh, yeah.
Can I just ask? Oh, yeah, on Monday, they're talking about doing that where you can watch the national championship game, even though it's a bogus national championship game, and I want to bring Shaquem Griffin down here to sit with us as the real champion, to bring some real championship metal to this counterfeit championship game.
If he does that, we should get him a crown to wear.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah, like an actual crown.
Yes, the real national champion crown.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
No, I got to get a crown.
That's right. See, this is what I'm saying. No, the planner on the Crusades is a problem.
Can we get him a Heisman Trophy? Like, do you still have Ricky Williams in your garage?
I do not.
I'm so confused. Are we going to him, or is he coming to us? We doing both?
I don't know. We need a planner. The Crusades need some planning. Anyway, let's go ahead and update the polls at Le Batard Show on Twitter. New Year's resolution, by the way. I'm off of Twitter, so all your poison, you can keep it to yourself.
Forever? I mean,
no, just a New Year's resolution for now. So
okay.
We'll see how that goes.
Right. At Le Batard Show on Twitter. Do you think it's strange that Greg Cody is carrying an award around with him everywhere? I don't. 69% of the audience said yes, they find it strange. It's the Edwin Pope Media Award that Greg Cody won, given to him by the folks at the Orange Bowl. I felt the need to explain that since he was holding it up and not explaining it to anyone.
He's just so terrible at radio that he forgets we're doing radio, and so he's making visual jokes that come with 0 words, forgetting that this is an audio medium.
Mm-hmm.
That award should be taken back by the Orange Bowl committee. It is an offense to other legitimate award winners of all kinds in all fields where awards are given.
Who's better, Nick Saban or John Gruden? 66% of the audience said Nick Saban.
Do we know if Gruden's actually leaving? Because you were ripping him as if he was gone.
I sure hope so. That could be problematic. I mean, he's being offered an ownership stake in the Raiders. How is he not leaving?
Okay, but I thought based on the way you did the weekend observations that he had already signed the deal. I figured he was gone, and you, for
it's
some
a foregone
reason,
conclusion.
Felt like you could have carte blanche on making fun of a fellow ESPN employee's physical appearance.
I did watch Adam Schefter on SportsCenter, and he said, you don't fire Jack Del Rio without knowing you're getting a John Gruden.
Yeah.
True, yeah.
Why wouldn't you fire lame Jack Del Rio?
Well, you don't do that unless you know you're getting a John Gruden.
Why would I fire Jack Del Rio on general principle?
That guy was 12-4 last year, I think.
You don't fire Jack
you don't
Del
get rid of a
Rio.
Jack
What
Del
do you
Rio.
mean you don't fire Jack Del Rio?
You don't fire Jack
Why
Del
are you
Rio.
making Jack Del Rio Tom Landry? This is what I know about Jack Del Rio. One, he coached on the sidelines for a brief period wearing a leather jacket. Only other coach to ever do that was Al Pacino on Any Given Sunday. Also, I believe there's a story, and I need you to play the reckless speculation sounder right now because I'm not sure totally of the details of the story I'm about to tell.
Time to throw away all journalistic credibility and get reckless. Here is something we like to call reckless speculation.
You're good.
I'm pretty sure during a holdout, Jack Del Rio picketed holding a gun. During a holdout situation with the league, a work stoppage, and not a small gun, a big gun. I'm pretty sure there was a shotgun involved with Jack Del Rio standing on sort of a picket line outside a football stadium when he played involving scabs. Now, if I'm wrong on this, that is hugely embarrassing, but I am covered I am covered by that sounder because I'm not sure that the story I just told is actually about Jack Del Rio. I think the way to find that is to Google search Del Rio shotgun and see what comes up.
Yeah, I Google search Jack Del Rio gun. Nothing yet.
Okay, all right. Hold on a second. Let's see if I have to offer an apology to Jack Del Rio. No,
do you have to apologize? You were doing it under the reckless speculation umbrella. I don't know.
He probably takes it as a compliment.
The reckless speculation umbrella. Yes. Okay. So I've got immunity under that umbrella?
Yes. That's why I say you're good.
All right. Go ahead and tell us what the next poll is.
Would the Bears fan base be excited if Ditka was returning to replace John Fox?
We had a conversation earlier about the idea of how old is a coach too old to return to a team the way Gruden's returning.
Dan, there are over 10,000 votes on this. 80% of the audience said yes.
You'll always take the old coach. Stugotz was arguing that there is no time limitation on an old coach, that you'll always want him to coach your team because he's got a name.
The coach. Are we going to lose if we are going up against Larry Fedora? We're doing the MegaCast, and I was telling Dan that the coach's room, which is fantastic, by the way, I love it. It's a great way to watch the game. But Larry Fedora eating snacks, talking football, that is just a ratings monster that we cannot contend with.
But he's eating clean snacks, right? He's eating
whatever's in the snack basket they have in the middle, he just keeps throwing them in his mouth, and he talks football. He's fantastic. Good-looking guy. Who would excite you more entering into next season as head coach? Adam Gase or Don Shula?
Don Shula's 88 years old.
75% of the audience said Shules.
Proving Stugotz's theory correct that as long as the coach has a name, even if it's the late Tom Landry,
correct,
you will put him on your sidelines because you want the coach with a name. So, Cower, you're next, big man.
Do you know how excited Giant fans would be if Tom Coughlin came back?
How about Cower?
How about Parcells?
Coughlin? You think Giants fans would be excited about?
I'm telling you, they take Parcells over Belichick. They would take Parcells over Cower.
They probably would. Giants fans would be thrilled with Bill Parcells waddling back into the game.
Big tuna.
Would you take 7 playoff appearances in 15 years if you knew you wouldn't win one of those playoff games? I think I was wrong here, guys. 76% of the audience said no. Was the Peach Bowl the greatest and most unjust game ever played?
It was.
69% of the audience said yes.
So true.
Before you die, will there be an app that exercises for you? 59% of the audience said yes.
Thank God.
And finally, given how long he's been rehabbing, are you expecting Andrew Luck to return with the throwing arm of an Olympian bodybuilder? 75% of the audience said yes.
About 30 years ago, Jack Del Rio stood outside the Kansas City Chiefs training facility, and he mistook a Chiefs legend, Otis Taylor, for a scab replacement player, and he roughed him up.
Man. That's like a gun.
He thought he was a scab player, and he wanted to rough him up, but it actually was a Chief legend who was.
I can see how you would get those stories.
We have
done like
they settled out of court.
No, there was a Jack Del Rio shotgun situation.
Yeah, nothing on the shotgun. I was trying to help you out there.
It's a handgun,
but they settled out of court, so
maybe there was. The confidentiality agreement's not going to be breached all these years later. You don't fire Jack Del Rio.
You don't fire
unless
Jack
you have a Gruden, right?
Unless you have
what
a John
is a Jack
Gruden.
Del Rio?
Jack Del Rio's the man.
He's a coach.
He's a coach that's, hey, that guy's pretty good. Unless we have a John Gruden, let's not get rid of him.
Right.
And then if you get a John Gruden, it's like, okay, now we can fire a Jack Del Rio.
There are very few upgrades from Jack Del Rio. Gruden's one of them. And so
what do you do? What do you do if you've got a John Gruden? What do you upgrade for there? If you've already got, got a John Gruden,
a Don Shula?
I don't know.
According to the poll, and Nick Saban, that's the only upgrade.
Or Belichick.
I don't understand why you guys. Why do you love coach worship so much?
Who better to worship than a all-time?
We will talk to you mañana. This was the Dan Le Batard Show on ESPN Radio.
All right, bye.